Long time no see. What have you been doing?
Been apart for about 7 hours, I think.
What time did you get back last night, James?
20 to 12.
What?
Yeah, I drove all the way back.
How fast did you drive?
Normal speed, to be honest. I just put cruise control in. I was trying to see if I could use just one tank.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So
did all right.
this is going to get very confusing, isn't it? So we've just got back from Northumberland, and now we're going to talk about our trip to Ayrshire. Can you actually remember going to Ayrshire? Feels like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Yes, I remember it well.
To what month was it in? Can you remember what month it was in?
No, I don't know when it was. I just remember the trip.
So where should we begin then? I think I was in peak sort of bring your picnic and look after yourself mode when we went to Ayrshire. I was looking at videos. I'm quite pleased with my appearance for once. How did you get there, James? Did you fly? Or did we pick you up at the airport, or did you drive?
No, I drove to Ayrshire.
You must do so many miles, I was thinking, as you pootled off in your drug dealer's car yesterday.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to look at a van just to make it a bit more useful.
Right. What are you going to put in your van? Like a van where you can make like a cup of tea and things?
Yeah, well, no, probably not. I wouldn't mind that, but somewhere I can leave because all my stands and equipment takes up quite a lot of space in the house. So if I can leave it in the van, just some stands and stuff.
We get one of those signs that says no equipment left in this van overnight.
Yeah, I'm sure that does the opposite. If you put a sign that says equipment left in the van, people probably wouldn't touch it.
Would you get one of those massive signs on the side like builders do, where it's like an advertising billboard that's like too big for the van?
Yeah, it just says 48 hours in and then we can't fit anything else.
Yeah.
Sparkitecture, Greens Consultancy.
That's what we need.
Yeah, if you want the worst advice on your...
So we went to Ayrshire. We went to Ayrshire sometime after the Masters and before the Open. I wouldn't like to be any more specific than that. I think it was May, maybe, was it?
I think it was end of May.
Yeah, let's go end of May. And we played at Dundonald, Prestwick, Western Gailes, Royal Troon Golf Club. Not in that order, but we'll get into the order. And we were very kindly accommodated by Dundonald in their luxury lodges. I think we were there on a Monday and a Tuesday, were we?
I seem to remember driving up there on a Sunday evening for some reason. We went the night before, didn't we?
No, I can tell you exactly what we did. We left after a kids' cricket match on a Monday night.
That's right.
Barwick and Elmet, to be precise. Because I was absolutely delighted because I'd gone to take Joseph there to go and watch him play a bit of cricket, and you met me there, and then you arrived to watch him clobbering a four, and I was like, yeah, it's always like this. He's always just smashing it through extra cover.
I did. It was a bit of a surreal experience because I drove there and I saw you on the side with a load of other parents picking up Joseph and his hitting home runs or whatever they do in cricket. And then another of our colleagues, Paul Miller, was doing the umpiring. It was like, is this what it's always like in the leafy suburbs of Boston Spa or Clifford or wherever we were?
Fellow dad.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was sort of when the 48 hours concept sort of began to come into its own, didn't it? Because that cricket match finished at about 8:20, and then we set off to Ayrshire, which is like something, isn't it? So we arrived to find Sparks already tucked into his lodge. Did we arrive to find Sparks already tucked into his lodge?
No, because I didn't know how to get in, so I called you, didn't I? And then she told me the wrong lodge. So I was standing outside thinking... Like, I could see someone in there, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not sure if I should go in. And then that's when I called you in panic, because I wasn't sure what to do.
Yeah, did we actually go into that bloke's lodge or not?
Well, you both sent me to do it. You sent the guinea pig here to go knock on this guy's door, who answered in his underwear at basically midnight, going, can I help you? This wasn't part of the service that Dundonald promised. I'm like, I think you're in our lodge. And he said, no, you're definitely not. We've been here for a few days. So I had to go, all right, I'll leave you to it in your pants and go back.
Have you ever done that before? Got into the wrong person's room?
Not on purpose, no, I don't think.
So I have. I did it once at a GCMA conference, in fact, right? It was, and this is awful, like genuinely awful. So me and a colleague were there on the first night with two rooms that were next to each other, okay? And then my colleague left and gave me their key to check out. So can you check me out of my room? I was like, yeah, that's fine. Didn't think any more about it. Then went to the GCMA meal thing, got absolutely hammered, and then went back to the rooms with two keys. Just sort of pulled one key out, tried a door, didn't work, tried the other door, did work, went in, took my suit off, got into the double bed where there was the man who was at the time, the managing director of our digital agency, already in bed, who had subsequently checked into the room that my colleague had vacated. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? I was like,
I feel like this is like point number 1,478 of why you no longer drink.
Yeah.
Turn your life completely around, and you
get that on the list. Anyway, we eventually found into our lodge, didn't we? They were good, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Everything. Yeah, so you go in there, and it's got everything you want. There's basically, some of them have barbecues outside, some of them have hot tubs, and all of them have little putting and chipping greens that you can just spend endless hours practicing your short game. So it's like everything you want from a golf trip location.
Sorry, have you just invented hot tubs? We didn't have a hot tub.
Well, we didn't, but there was some of the fancy lodges with more people, hot tubs outside. It's amazing.
Right. I was just pleased that they had a fridge and somewhere that you could put your yogurt in and somewhere to make a coffee.
Yeah, the freezer was big enough for a crate of iron brew, which I was pleased with.
One of these days, we're going to put on the NCG Top 100 social pictures of your picnic that you bring on these trips. Like, it's the first thing you unload. It's not your golf clubs. It's like this dad little cooler bag that you bring full of little snacks and yogurt.
It makes me so happy though to be prepared. I absolutely love putting the ice packs around the side and then putting my food in. And I think this is amazing. And I think, that means I'm going to have like a proper snack. And then I'll be able to have my food when I'm hungry. And it's going to be the stuff that I want. I'm not just going to live on Caesar salads and whatever his Sparks eats.
Caesar salads.
He is at least consistent, though. You're just all over the freaking show.
I never know what to order on these trips. Maybe next time I'll bring a cooler bag.
Yeah. And then we went off. Anyway, we'll get back to the lodges later. We went off to play at Dundonald. Neither of you done that before, had you?
No, never been there.
I have been there. I've played there once. Not for quite a while, though. There was no clubhouse or lodges or anything when I last played there. It was just a porter cabin.
So I've been there loads and loads and loads and loads over the years, and I've definitely been I was there more in the porter cabin era than I have been in the posh clubhouse and lodges era. It kind of occupies quite a unique place on that coastline, doesn't it? Because it's, first of all, it has no members, so it's entirely visitor golf. And they've kind of unashamedly pointed themselves at that sort of tourist market. And the lodges are all part of that in the hope that when people are planning a trip to Ayrshire, they're going to choose to base themselves at Dundonald because, frankly, why wouldn't you? Like, it was news to me, but there's a gym and a sauna and a steam room and all sorts of stuff in the clubhouse. So it's almost set up like a hotel, isn't it? But golfers don't really want hotels. I don't know about you, but golfers have got very specific requirements in terms of what they want out of their accommodation. As in, you don't want to be dealing with people, really, do you? Because you've generally speaking got golf clubs with you and you arrive in at funny times of day and you're not really after the accoutrements of sort of 5-star hotels. You want somewhere to put your golf bag. You want a bed and you want to have minimal fuss, basically. And you want your breakfast to be ready when you get up at the stupid o'clock to go and play golf. And I think Dundonald's sort of ticking quite a lot of boxes, as in it understands what a golfer's requirements are, right down to the place to put your wet golf bag in your lodge. You're not traipsing it through your bedroom or traipsing it across your lounge. And the way that they do breakfast is like it's there when you get there. You're not having to order it and faff about. Like, you can get in and eat and go, which is what you want to be doing, isn't it?
Yeah, I do think it was incredibly smart or clever of Dundonald to build that site where they've built it, because all of the other golf around there is quite old and very traditional linksy, and they have gone completely against that. It's a modern, almost American version of links, and they've built all the accoutrements that make great golf in America. I don't think there was country music, but that type of thing in the clubhouse, and good food and lodges and hot tubs and pool tables and just all the things that you would want from an accommodation. And there was nothing else like that in Ayrshire until then, was there?
I know you're Canadian, Mike, but you can't just write off a whole country. It's like, just pipe them some country music and that'll keep them happy.
Well, it kept me and Sparks happy on another trip, so...
Yeah. You can do that everywhere.
I don't think there was any country music, to be fair. There is a very impressive looking chandelier, isn't there, when you're having your breakfast? Which I think it might be made of golf clubs. Is that right?
Yeah. Quite a few. I think there was 3 of them on the ceiling.
Yeah, there was. Anyway, so should we talk about the golf or what?
Yeah, I'd like to start with the starter. He was a lovely guy. He really had a good little conversation. He made it into the video as well.
Yeah, but you've just got sort of that's going in the edit bias. If you find someone who you think has got something to say,
yeah,
particularly a local accent, then they're basically your friend.
Yeah, very true. But he did. He was a lovely starter. He told us what to do, and then he watched me hit my ball nearly onto the driving range, which I don't think he thought was possible until I hit it that way.
There is a definite art, though, isn't there, to being a starter? Like, he was a good example of one because he kind of gave us the information that we needed. He wasn't sort of in our way. He gave us free and liberal access to the box of tees and ball markers and pencils. Didn't get cross about it. So it is a kind of Venn diagram of things that you want from your starter. And you don't want an over-officious one who's making you feel like you're doing the wrong thing. But nor do you want someone who's chatting to you for ages while you're trying to do your pre-shot routine and look at your yardage book. Because you're in that very specific window, aren't you, where everything's still perfect and you haven't hit a bad shot yet. And you can still pretend that you can do it, and you don't want to start cluttering that up with too much information.
No, especially not the first shot of the trip either. You really want to get a good one away, don't you? So I think Campbell, his name wasn't it?
Yeah.
He was perfect. Really.
People do things like world's best halfway huts, don't they? Maybe we should do best starters, top 10 of best starters.
Well, he's on the short list. Let's add
He
him
can
to
go on the short list.
Yeah.
Not like that other bloke at. We can't do that, can we? So this is the problem.
Only because he caught you stealing loads of seats. That's what he did. He was nice as well.
I think the only way you could do this list of top 10 starters is the people who weren't in the list would realise, wouldn't they? You couldn't rank everyone you'd ever had. The ones who were omitted, it was just they'd be sort of damned by the faintest of praise, wouldn't they?
Fair.
Should we move on from the style ranking? I can see you're not really getting into it.
I can only really remember him and King's Park.
Well, that's what I mean. There's your 1-2. Well, there was one at Dunbarney as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, about Dunbarney and then obviously the 5 trip.
There's also one at George's who tells you can only play 2 balls.
Not so good.
No.
Although a very nice guy. The guy at Dunbarney gave us a shot of whiskey, so he's catapulted to number 1.
Yeah, this is better. Now you get into it. Right, anyway, I hated that first hole at Dundonald, and I sort of want to go back and do the whole thing again. Everything about it was irritating. You stood there and smashed driver over that left-hand bunker with a little fade, and then sort of went, "Oh yeah, that was amazing, just smashed driver down there." And that has incredibly made it into the video. Whereas I tried to do the right thing and hit my 3-wood straight in the freaking bunker.
That's why you don't hit 3-wood. Hit it over the bunker. Come on, Tom. Par 4, driver.
The only thing that made it better was then you knifed your pitch and 3-butted it.
Yeah, I was hoping that wasn't going to come into it. That was one of the best drives I've ever hit, and then walked off with a 5. Which happened a few times on this trip.
Yeah. And I was trying then really hard not to get in a bad mood, because things then went from bad to worse on that par 5 third, which is like impossible, isn't it? Because you have to hit it short of the ditch, then over the ditch, and then pitch it on. And I'd done all of those things. And then I knifed my pitch into the back bunker and made a 7. So the start of Dundonald and that whole trip, I wasn't really feeling it, to be honest with you.
And whilst you two were playing golf, I was looking for my ball in the woods and fell over.
Yes, that did happen on the second.
Yeah, that sort of hurt as well, actually. I didn't. I found my ball by a tree trunk, hit it, lost it again, and then fell over trying to look for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't good. And then all my balls fell out of my bag, and a bit of a tough start.
We're all over the place at this point.
But the golf course at Dundonald, I don't know, people, it's not universally popular, is it? People are not kind of like bowled over by it often. I think it is, for me, it is a really, really good example of Kyle Phillips's design at its best. I think the routing is something that people overlook. I personally think that the way that the holes are stretched together is really quite clever. So you kind of go round in 2 big circles of 9, so it is 2 loops of 9. But it's not 2 loops of the 9 in the same way that a Port Rush or a Western Gailes is. It doesn't kind of figure of 8 or loop out in one consistent direction. It's constantly changing direction. So I can't think there are many holes at all, really, where you play in the same direction more than once. And that makes it an absolute pickle from trying to pick the wind point of view. So if you're now replaying the front 9 in your head, like even if you work back from the 9th, 9, 8, 7, 6 and 5 all go in totally different directions. None of those are running in the same way at all. And I think that is absolutely part of its genius. And the end of the front 9, I think that's run of holes from the second par 5 onwards. The 5th, I think, are all great holes. I love that little par 3 into the corner, and the one out, I think, is a really, really good driving hole where you hit out to the side of the dogleg and then into the big green with a false front. So I think architecturally it's really strong. It just suffers in comparison, I think, from a kind of a romance point of view and from a kind of picturesque point of view to some of its near neighbours.
Well, it's just entirely man-made, isn't it? So all the dunes were man-made. I think Kyle Phillips brought his scraper over and they moved all sorts of different land to make it that.
So I don't really get that when people say that about golf courses, because, like, how many golf courses do people really think that no one's used a freaking shovel for? They're all man-made.
Well, yeah, but you're not moving mounds of dirt to create big sand dunes at Royal St George's, are you? You're just there and you're putting the holes through that. A bit like Birkdale, probably a similar example. They bulldoze through the dunes, but you're not creating those dunes, if that makes sense. Whereas all of that has been done at Dundonald.
It's still man-made. Like, even at Shiskin or wherever, like, unless you go to Shiskin where the whole thing is like just chewed up by sheep and it's literally no earth has been moved in the making of this golf course, then it's all man-made to an extent. But anyway, I take your point. Keep going.
Do you want to jump in, Sparks? Or
No, I was just gonna. I mean, I'm not sure on the jumping on the man-made bit, but I just remember getting to the halfway house. We got let through, which was very lovely. And then that whole plan, it must have been 10, obviously, led us to, you could see our house, not our house, our little bungalow thing, to the left-hand side, which was really cool. You could literally pop back and pick
Get
up
some plasters or something.
Yeah.
Or you picnic.
Yeah, it was good how close you are. It just really showed us how close the golf course is to sort of where we were staying as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, just back to the architecture for a second, because I feel like you've discredited my point there. But it is a stark comparison to everything else that is in Ayrshire, isn't it? So you've got, it's like an American version of Links. So there's greens that are kind of raised in the air a little bit. It's not like a Troon where everything is kind of flat, like that opening stretch there. It is different to that, isn't it? So it does feel more man-made because of that.
Well, I mean, sorry. This is going to be really annoying because someone's going to clip this up for social, and I'm going to people are going to go, "Of course it's man-made. What's he on about?" Of course it's man-made. That's what I'm on about. But I'm just saying I don't really get why that's a criticism, because if that is a criticism, like Turnberry have moved thousands of tons of earth to create that golf course and tipped thousands of tons of fertiliser on it. King's Barnes the same. Like, just you could keep going and keep going and keep going. All of the courses at Castle Stewart that you two are going off in your pocket about. Like this, the man-made thing is not. It's not. I don't think it's a stick to beat places with, because otherwise you're going to be beating a lot of golf course with a lot of sticks.
Yeah, and I wasn't saying it as a criticism of the course. I was saying that people have that in the back of their mind, that it is entirely man-made, and because it's new, it's 20 years old or something, and Prestwick's been around since 1856, is it? Something like that. Then that is probably in the back of people's minds, isn't it?
No, I don't agree. I don't think that is what in the back of people's minds. I think that is, I don't know. I think you're giving people too much credit. I think people go and play most of these places and think, oh, that's amazing, look how big the dunes are, and don't pay any regard to the fact they've been moved by diggers. What I do think is in the front of people's minds is that they can't see the sea.
Fair.
And it's not pretty.
Quite industrial in parts, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're not pointing at things that look nice necessarily. But the golf holes themselves, I think there's a lot of variety there, and they are infinitely fair. Like, it's a really sort of honest challenge, isn't it? Like, when I try and think of golf courses that are in the best traditions of Scottish links, and whilst Dundonald, or the current iteration of Dundonald, there has been golf played on that land for an awful long time. I think the first golf course there is over 100 years old. But what we know as Dundonald now, I think it's about as fair a golf course as you can get. Like, it's all out in front of you. It's largely flat, which to me is like a big ticking the box for somewhere I'd want to play a lot of golf. And I never find myself getting bored there. I never think, oh, it's this hole or another one of these. Like, there's no element of, like, we've played some golf courses in the last few days, which have all been fantastic. But on all of them, we've said, oh, this one's a bit wonky, or there's too much of this kind of the same thing going on again. That doesn't happen at Dundonald. So I think if you sort of get into the bones of, is it good architecturally, then it absolutely is. And condition-wise, it's generally pretty good, like it has to be, because of the clientele that they attract. And obviously they've got plenty of budget to keep it in that way. So I just think it's possibly lacking just a little bit of romance, and it's not amazing in terms of what you're looking at.
No, but I think my point was that that's fine, because there is plenty of romance everywhere else in Ayrshire, isn't there? So
yeah.
Quite clever of Dundonald to build what they've built and positioned it the way they have, because it's like perfect to add on to a trip where the other 3 or 4 courses that you play are all filled with romance and wooden panel lockers and all those kind of things that we love.
All that good stuff.
Yeah.
Favourite hole?
I like I'm not sure what number it was. I'll probably guess around 12, 13, 14. The one leading out to the corner of Western Gailes. Not sure what number.
It's like one of those games that you play. See if you can get it on clue number 1. It is a hole at Dundonald. 3.
Yeah.
Clue number 2. It is on the back 9.
It had a flag at the end, and I think there was
what par was it?
4. It was par 4 in the corner. It was the one in the corner. I got that drone shot of it as well, because it's on the corner of like the 2 golf courses.
I think the hole you're talking about is 16.
I think you're thinking of 13, the straightaway 4 down the side of the railway track.
Yeah, leading out to Western Gailes. I remember playing it and then looking at it on the drone and quite enjoying it, and that was about it, really. Quite a simple way, but
there are 2 good par 4s on the back 9. One is the hole that Mike is describing, which is the 13th, where the tee is right in the corner of the property, and you can see over to Irwin, and you can see across the Western Gailes, and you stood right by the railway track. And it's like a slightly elevated portion of the golf course, and it is a pretty stunning view down the side of that railway track. And the hole is pretty cool. It's like a drive and a wedge, but the wedge is really nervy, isn't it? Because it's over that little stream that cuts across. And the other hole that's really good on the back nine also runs along that boundary, but in the opposite direction. And it's the sort of impossible hole, which has got that centerline bunker, and it's much longer, plays about 450, which is 16. It's a really, really intimidating tee shot where you have to sort of choose which side of that centerline bunker you're going to hit it. If you hit it left, then you've got a much worse angle coming into the green for your second shot. And if you hit it right, then you're obviously bringing the out of bounds in. And then the green side's pretty cool as well, the little false front. I don't think I've ever parred it. I came pretty close on this trip. I had 2 really good shots and then 3 whacked it, which is in the video. But we'll never know. We'll never know which one of those holes is James's favourite because he can't.
It was 12 then. I quite like 12. If 13 was the one going back along.
12's the shortish par where you.
Yeah, it's quite a short par 4. You're heading out towards the railway. If you hit it a bit hard, you might end up on Western Gailes. Yeah, something like I quite like that.
Elevated green. It is quite cool.
It's quite a tough little green to sort of hit onto.
People, if this gets clipped up, people hate me for this. I think it's quite a similar hole to 10 at George's, but probably isn't.
Yeah, like the infinity green.
I can't wait for the barrage of abuse that you get for that.
I don't think I've ever played an approach to a green like the one at 10 at George's. I probably wouldn't link it.
Okay, let's just move on from that.
I'm going to, from a photography point of view, I've never seen a photo like 10 at George's. Just something about it.
Yeah. I'm glad we played there anyway, and I'm glad we went there. I think it's a very good base, and I also think it's a very good opening golf course for a trip because it's got loads of tees, so you can choose some nice comfy front tees. I don't think you're going to get beaten up off the front tees there. I don't think you're going to get stitched up by loads of blind shots. It's got amazing practice facilities, so you can have a proper warm-up before you go and play. And you can sort of get your head on because you're staying where you're playing, so there's no messing about trying to travel to the golf course. I think it's a very, very good way of getting into a trip.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. You would add it. I would add it to any trip to Ayrshire, really.
Yeah.
Because of all the things we've discussed. Very good architecture, really. Completely different to everything else that's around it. Very, very solid, good golf holes. Very fair. A lot of fun.
So we sort of concluded our business at Dundonald. I can't remember what we did for lunch.
We went across the rail.
No,
I'm pretty sure I brought my own lunch. Did we go back to our lodge just because we could, because it was near there?
No, I don't think.
No, I think we went straight across the tracks to Western Gailes.
Yeah, no, we had a club sandwich at Western Gailes.
Yeah, but I think in between times we popped back to our lodge to do some like charging of batteries and changed our socks and things just because we could do it because it was just there. Why wouldn't you? As James says, it was so convenient.
That does make sense.
You could have a little chip in practice just for Western Gailes as well.
Yeah. So Western Gailes, just so people can kind of orientate themselves, it's adjacent to Dundonald. In order to get there with your car, you have to come out of the drive at Dundonald, turn left again, go past the Gailes Hotel, turn left again, and then drive across said railway track to get into the car park at Western Gailes. And it's kind of one of these golf clubs, I would start by saying, that it's in the sort of best traditions of old money venues, which is built on the side of a railway track. It basically has its own railway stop, or Gailes has its own railway stop. So when people were coming out of Glasgow back in the day, accountants and financiers and doctors and lawyers, to take their golf, they're able to travel by train, which was the de rigueur thing of the day. And it's sort of maintained those traditions, but its kind of location kind of speaks of its history, doesn't it? Because that is why it's there in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm waiting for you to pass the baton to me because Western Gailes is also specialist subject for me alongside me.
It's like you've got to stop doing this because it's like you basically just pick like everyone's favourite place and then you go, I'll do that one. I'll talk about Messi.
One thing
I get left with Fred.
What I would like to say actually is, out of all these trips, what have we done now? What's that? 16 golf courses. Out of all of them, I've only been to 2 of them before, and none of the others. Whereas you boys have obviously pretty much been to all of them. So I have a very different view. Like, for me, I've seen it for the first time. Like Mike said, here's the special reveal at Western Gailes. Like, I've never seen that before, and all the views and everything. So I find it really interesting visiting all these places, listening to what you two have to say, and then you two listening to my weird view on the same golf course.
So what was your first impression there then? Because I'm pretty sure that I spent a lot of the time leading up to that, saying, I can't wait to show you Western Gailes. I can't wait till you see Western Gailes.
Yeah, for me, it was quite interesting. So I've been to, living down sort of in Kent, I've been to St George's. They're the courses I know that sort of have history, St George's, St Port's, and they're obviously quite old school. You get some of the old lockers, and I've been to some of the other places like New Zealand, which is old lockers and stuff like that. And you was telling me this is like a links history. It's a historic links course. And when I walked in, it was like the best of all the golf courses put together. You had the lockers, you had the sunshine coming in, which also looked amazing. That sort of really helped. But then the golf course, I've never seen a golf course like it from what I've played. It was sort of really, really rustic, but really tough at the same time. And probably, one of the most enjoyable experiences I'd had up to that point playing golf.
One of the most enjoyable experiences you've had up to this point playing golf?
Yeah, like it was such a good experience to sort of, I don't know, just something about it is, I mean, it like, for me, from looking at it from a video point of view, the lighting on the day, we had super nice light. It was really sunny. Met your favourite man in the world, Douglas. The sandwich was really nice. Like, you're next to the water. You got all the tee boxes, or not all the tee boxes, obviously, but a lot were literally overlooking you on a beach. And I really, really enjoyed it. And especially on all these trips, that was definitely one that sticks in my mind. It might have been because Mike was talking about it so much, but I also really enjoyed it.
Can I have a go? Can I have a go? Can I have a go?
You go.
Well, you can definitely do the heavy lifting on it. The video's out, by the way, which means you have to go and watch it all the way through and comment on it immediately to get the game, the algo. Otherwise, no views. Western Gailes, I don't know, there's something about it, isn't there? And I think it's really important to try and make some of these distinctions between what these venues offer and how they feel. I think is probably more the thing. Like you've just, I think, quite eruditely described Dundonald, and I think people will understand what you're there for, which is kind of amazing customer service, and you know what to expect from that kind of golf course and that kind of facility. And then, but the other end of the scale, you've got places like Troon, and I guess to a degree Turnberry, which are kind of like the kind of bucket list kind of trophy venues, right? That you go in because you want to walk in the footsteps of people who've played in the Open and all that kind of thing. And then there are places that are kind of off the beaten track and kind of out of the way, and they're kind of quirky, and you feel like you're discovering something there, like places like Critch Island in Ireland, and I don't know, Seacroft in Lincolnshire, or places further afield, some of the Hebridean golf courses, that kind of stuff. And then there's places like Western Gailes, which I think, I don't know, it's golf in the best traditions of golf, isn't it? And from every single second you're on the property, you kind of feel like it's set up in a way that's evolved. So in a way that's evolved because of how members have asked it to be. So the state of that place is an amorphous thing that has developed over tens of years, decades, centuries of kind of quiet feedback and people understanding what it is that they want from their golf club. And because of that, it has an unbelievably comfortable feel to it, a kind of refined feel to it that is not, it doesn't offer what it offers because a customer service book says this is what golfers want from you. Golfers want to be valet parked and they want a badge for their golf bag and they want a free bag of teas. It hasn't got any of that because that's not what its members have asked for over the last few centuries. What it has got is unbelievably high quality furniture and unbelievably courteous staff who are more like your mate than they are than someone that's bringing you coffee. And it's got really nice views of the golf course, which is what you'd want when you're having your breakfast. And it doesn't matter what table you've got because you can see it from every room. Just the locker room is exactly where you want the locker room to be because it's the first thing that you arrive when you get there. There are no locks on the doors. It's like just everything about it just sort of speaks to me of something that is kind of, it's obviously the members' home from home, and it's kind of, they treat it with respect. It's evolved to that point, and that's why it feels so comfortable going there, because if you go in there as a kind of someone who is a golfer and understands golf and understands all of the stuff I've just described, you will feel at home at Western Gailes.
Mike's turn.
I said that was extremely well said. Everything at Western Gailes is centered around the golf course. Like, the clubhouse has Wi-Fi, but it's not that great. Like, you can't really use it for anything because the members don't really want that. It's also got an extremely quirky rule where if you play golf with a member at Western Gailes, both you and the member have to turn up in jacket and tie. But as a visitor, you can just turn up in your golf gear and you can go in the clubhouse in your golf gear. But you have to be in jacket and tie if you play with a member. It's also extremely hard to join as a member. I know this because I've asked a million times if I can join as a member. You have to have 10 letters of recommendation. So unfortunately, that's me out of the boat because I only know about 3 people there. But it's just got all these little kind of quirks that make you kind of instantly fall in love with the place. You walk in, wooden panel locker rooms. There's a trophy of an old kangaroo that was gifted by Western Gailes Golf Club in Australia. There's old kind of rules of golf books everywhere, and they just really want you to be immersed in all the kind of finer things in golf in the clubhouse even before you get out onto the course. It's lovely.
I think we had this conversation on the trip yesterday, and I think Tom brought it up, which I know you just mentioned it just now, but there's a big difference between the golf course and the way it makes you feel on how you judge them, isn't it? And I always think on these trips there's one, maybe two golf courses that make you feel something that maybe some of the others don't. And like Dornoch, for example, done that for me, and I think you two as well. And this one on this trip had a bit of that. And then also maybe another couple of courses as well. But not every course does it. It's a weird way to judge courses because you don't always judge courses on the architecture. You judge it on how you feel on the day. But I think this place definitely had a good feeling.
Western, I totally agree about places give you a different sensation. What I feel at Western Gailes is that I want to behave. I love the fact that you really understand what is expected of you from a behaviour point of view, as in no one tells you off, but everyone is just kind of operating by the rules of the club. And that might be jacket and tie, that might be no mobile phones, it might be not shouting and swearing, it might just be being courteous and polite. No one needs to tell you that because that's just the way that people are operating. And that I think is different from other places with rules where the rules are more overt. Like you sort of think of clubs where they have those things on the tables where they've got those horrible pictures that say what the dress code is. You're not going to find that kind of thing at Western Gailes. So I think it makes me want to be respectful, and it makes me want to respect it, because that is the way that people there are. So I think it is a very good place to go and kind of try and show your best side. And I think, as we say in the video, like the personification of it is Douglas, who's the secretary and general manager there. And like, without wanting to come across all man crush on it about it, he is, when I grow up, I want to be Douglas, isn't he?
Yeah, we always say he's like one of just the nicest, most gentlemanly people in the golf industry for sure.
Yeah, but he's better than that. How can you say it? He's just underselling him. I think he used to play rugby for Scotland, you know.
His dad represented Scotland at the Olympics. I know that.
Well, there you go then. But he's all sort of solid, isn't he? Like the clubhouse, like he's like properly built, like sturdy, like good handshake. Always got a proper suit on.
He's also a member at Muirfield.
Also a member at Muirfield, yeah.
It's like that type of guy. Yeah. It's also a bit quirky at Western Gailes that there's no pro. Can't really think of any other clubs where there's no pro. You don't walk into a pro shop to check in. You go in the clubhouse and there's the lovely staff waiting to greet you. There's no checking in at the pro shop, anything like that. They just look after you from the minute you're there.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things to like about the off-course experience there. We should say there are currently no female members.
Yeah, that is not a rule, though. I'll back the club up here. That is not a rule. Women can join. They just have to go through the same process that men do. 10 letters of recommendation from 10 separate members.
Yeah. Golf course?
Yeah, amazing. Really, really good. Mike got the best bogey I've ever seen on the first hole as well. That was also made it into the video.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the first is a 302-yard par 4 inland. So you play the first 4 directly kind of alongside the railway tracks. And the first is like we said at Dundonald, you want to get off to a good start. And it just feels like you know everything that's coming, where you have to play 10 holes along the coastline. So it's like, get a birdie here and you're off to a great start. Basically drive the green, kind of fluff a chip to a little bit of a false front, then knock it up, then 2-putt, and you're starting with a 5. Quite disappointing.
I think the first at Western Gailes is basically like the first at Portrush before it had like horrible plastic surgery and ruined itself. That's what the first at Portrush is supposed to be, isn't it? It's supposed to be the same as that hole there. Lovely sort of gentle uphill opener. If you happen to get a good one away, you might make a birdie, but you're probably going to make 4. Bogey at worst if you can't put a chip, Mike. It gets you away. To me, it's like they're not trying to trick you up at Western Gailes. It just kind of is what it is. It's a 300-yard opener. Fill your boots if you can. Yeah. And I think that whole opening stretch it's like some of the best golf anywhere, isn't it? The first 4 or 5 at Western, they're all just kind of characterful, just so kind of completely just sat in the land. All of those first few are great golf holes.
It's interesting you say that, because I think 5, 6, 7 are just like one of the best par 4s, par 5s, par 3s on any golf course in Britain, basically.
Yeah, they are. The stretch of C and La Poc, aren't they? The par 3 and the par 5.
You've got the one before that, which is the stroke index 1, which is the straightaway kind of longer 4, and that is the first one when you turn back from the 4 holes that are inland. But then you're kind of right up into the corner of the property, in views out across the coastline, and you know that you can just basically see golf forever in the direction that you're going because you play 10 holes that way. And that is a really solid par 4, a really, really good golf hole. Well,
is that when you think, I really like it here because none of it's man-made?
Exactly that, yeah.
I think what you're actually thinking at that point is, I really like it here because the view is like off the charts, isn't it? Because you're like literally playing along the top of that dune with the bay to your right the whole way along. Like, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing.
It's not... The amazing thing about it is that it's not just one hole. It's like there are literally 9 or 10 in the same direction doing the same thing. So you're kind of getting wow moment after wow moment after wow moment. So I think from a kind of sensation point of view and from a tactile point of view, it's about as good as stretch of holes of anywhere I can think of. It's the measure of Turnberry's sort of 4 to 10, isn't it? It hasn't quite got the ludicrous wow factor of 9 and 10 at Turnberry, but certainly from 4 to 8, it's very similar stretch of holes to that, in that you're playing bang along the dune line the whole way. The sea is like only ever a few yards to your right at Western and left at Turnberry.
I think the only thing I mentioned, I mentioned it when we was there, Rich, because obviously we've played some golf courses where the routing's all over the place, and that stretch of 10 holes along the sea, you tend to do the same, albeit different length of holes and stuff. You do the same thing. You sort of play that way, go next to the sea, play that way, go next to the sea. And it sort of feels, obviously they are different holes, but sometimes you feel like you're playing a similar, just same, not the same hole obviously, but you're just doing the same movement. You're doing like a zigzag sort of back to the sea, back in, back to
What's that film called where, is it Good Will Hunting, where Matt Damon like scribbles stuff on a board because he's maths genius?
It is good.
Exactly right, James. That's the whole thing. That is the one thing you would say about Western, is it's asking you the same question for several holes in a row, where you drive out to the left and then your second shot back up into the dune. And if you get in the wrong wind, it is very difficult to control your tee shot because you're constantly going across the angle. But I would say that's very well observed in terms of a criticism of the golf course, is that it is asking the same question time and time again.
I suppose that's where sometimes the routing of like other courses where they're all bit all over the place add that slightly different question, and especially with the wind, obviously, because you get wind at all these places pretty constantly. But going back to your favourite hole, was it the par 5 you said? Was that sort of 7?
No, so I described 5, and then you've got 6, which is the par 5, which is, they claim that it is the only par 5 in the world that is completely blind on the direct line between the tee and the green. So your tee shot is blind. So the three of us spent an eternity kind of working out which line to hit and picking a spot over a dune that you hit over. Then you get down there, and if your ball's lucky enough to be in the fairway, then so I think it's only like 500 yards. So you're like, all right, I've got a real good chance now. But then your second shot is blind, and because it's cut in the middle of 2 big massive dunes, so you have to play out again into the unknown. And you get up there, and the green is like just bonkers, and there's just kind of little pot bunkers everywhere that'll just swallow your ball. And so what is quite a short par 5 can be very, very difficult if you're not like committed to start lines.
Yeah, that was an amazing hole. I remember playing that. And did that one make it into your eclectic holes?
I think it has. See, the problem is, then the next hole at Western Gailes is the par 3, which I think is basically one of the best par 3s in world golf. It's like absolutely amazing. You just on this tee right up at one of the highest points of the property. There's a rickety old fence there that is the only thing that is stopping you basically climbing down onto the beach. So the views from there are amazing. And then you're just greeted with this perfect yardage, 170 odd yard par 3, little pot bunkers everywhere, just like an absolutely beautiful, beautiful golf hole.
I actually think I'm just taking your job now, Tom, and working my way through the golf course. The other hole that I remember being one of my favourites was, again, I'm not going to know what number hole it is, I'm just going to name a few, but the one in the corner where you actually, because that's quite a high point, you actually see quite a lot of the golf course looking back. What number was that?
So you are describing the hole that is basically across the railway track from the one you were describing before. Yeah. So I think it's 14, where you now turn back from playing that stretch along the coast, and you've got a par 5, and that tee is right tucked in in the top corner, right next to the railway track, and you hit kind of across the course, but you can literally see everything out there in front of you.
Yeah, that was it. I really like that hole because it broke it up after obviously a solid 9 odd so holes shooting that way. It lifted us up. We looked back on what we'd just played, and you're also Tom hit with a golf ball just as the train was flying past at high speed, which I've never seen that been that close playing a golf ball to a train before.
Yeah, it was a good videography moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was good fun.
But I think the thing that a lot of people would say is kind of what we're describing here is the routing, and I think people have described it as a figure of 8. It's not really a figure of 8, is it? Because you play 4 in one direction, 10 in another direction, and then 4 or 5 back in. But it is a very cool routing. The siting of the clubhouse right in the middle of the property is something that is kind of pretty cool as well, and obviously sort of affords it sort of lots of options in terms of if you're popping out to play a few holes. There's a lot of different combinations of holes that you could play. And I think that one of the reasons I was talking about those first 4 holes is because I think, as James rightly points out, is that it is unarguable, isn't it, that the holes on the coastline are unbelievably good, as in because of the situation that they're in, because of the question that they're asking you, because of the exposure to the elements, because of how picturesque they are, all of that good stuff. But architecturally, they're limited because they have to be, because they're literally just following the land. And actually, it's the inland holes at Western Gailes, I think, that kind of almost set it apart from a lot of places where if you play a lot of coastal courses, then they've all got wow moments on the holes by the sea. It's like really hard not to enjoy holes like that. I'm sort of loath to mention Pebble Beach, but Pebble Beach is the best example of this, where there are the holes from 4 to 10 or 11 at Pebble Beach are just ridiculous. They're like golf on steroids, basically. The remainder of the golf course is parkland golf inland. People always say you might as well be at the Belfry, which is sort of doing the Belfry a disservice, but they are parkland holes where they are replicable in lots of different places, and they're weaker because of that. And I think that's true of lots of places. Turnberry is the same thing. Turnberry it's got unbelievable wow moments, unbelievable holes along the coast. And what they're constantly trying to do, which is why they're always reimagining it, is elevate the weaker holes inland and make those better in some way, shape or form. And I think at Western, some of the architectural highs are on those inland holes. And I think the best example is 17, because like you and I had an argument about what the best play to play that hole is. It's 450 yards, tracks the railway track on one side. It's got a kind of 4th at St George's Himalayas style bunker on the inside left of the dogleg, I think, and bunkers on the right of the dogleg, and it is a big dogleg right to left. And I think it's a spectacular looking hole with like lots and lots of interesting features, but it's also very interesting strategic challenge, because I would argue that the way to play it is to chip it short of the bunker and hit kind of 4-iron twice. You would argue that you're trying to get your driver down as far as you can and leave yourself a mid-iron in. And that to me is like the sign of a very, very good hole architecturally, where 2 sort of competent golfers have got 2 different ways in their mind, clear ways in their mind of playing it.
Yeah, that is an all-timer of a hole as well. It's just absolutely amazing. So your point about the inland holes being equally as spectacular is really well made, Tom. And yeah, we did have a bit of an argument about it. I'm adamant that the way they want you to play it is hit it out, driver up the right and try and work it back a bit left. I think you were saying, no, you should go up the left and play almost a second a little bit blind, but it didn't matter because you had a shorter angle in. And yeah, I guess that is a sign of a great hole.
Yeah. So you're just not, I don't, if you were kind of like trying to rate places out of 10, I'm just not sure where Western loses marks, because it's so comfortable in its own skin. That is the thing. That is probably the thing about it to me. And we keep making this sort of tongue-in-cheek reference to Douglas. He's a man who's comfortable in his own skin, and I think the golf courses as well. It's going to be slow to change. It's going to get a lot of things right. It's going to be unapologetically itself, and it's just a great place to spend time, isn't it?
It's just one of my all-time favourites, without a doubt. Top 5 places in golf for me.
So Mike chained himself to the radiator and started burning his bra and said he wasn't leaving until they gave him a membership.
I'm slow playing this, Tom. This has been I've been going to Western Gailes for 7-8 years, and it's a slow play.
Yeah. If you had to choose between Western and Nairn, what would you do? Oh, don't do it. It's like choosing your kids. Don't do it. I wish I hadn't asked. Stop. Bim.
They're my 2 happy places. I say that.
What do we do at night? I can't remember what we did at night.
Football was on.
Was it late?
It was football, wasn't it?
Football?
Yeah, was it
Wasn't
Champions
England
League
women,
final.
was it?
Champions League.
Champions League final.
We watched it, and you streamed it on your
Yeah.
laptop onto TV. So we did a bit of chipping.
It was PSG versus Barca. It was basically the best game of football ever. Ended up like 7-6 or something, didn't it?
It was, yeah, there was a lot of goals. Did we get a takeaway? I can't even remember. No, you got a pizza. We went to Asda before and stocked up and watched the football and did some chipping at half time.
That's right.
We went to Asda because we were such grown-ups and got ourselves some healthy food. And then we went back to the lodge. That's exactly what we did.
Yeah, we used the lodge to its potential.
Yeah.
Used the kitchen there.
It was good, that game of football, to be fair. And then the thing about that chipping thing is quite good, isn't it?
Yeah, we just popped out for like 15 minutes at half time and did some chipping. Although there's a lot of glass around the chipping green of windows from the other building. So
I mean, they've got insurance, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
We also did it in our pyjamas, which, I mean, you wouldn't get away with that sort of thing at Western Gailes, would you?
No. I mean, when do you ever get to do that? Just pop outside into your back garden and chip golf balls in your pyjamas. It's amazing.
More to the point, you actually have got some actual pyjamas, haven't you? They are pyjamas. They're not just some sort of like old tracksuit bottoms that you've converted into pyjamas. They're pyjamas.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I don't have pyjamas.
Well, what were those like check things you were wearing then?
They're just some linen pants.
Oh, right. So they are converted pants. They're not pyjamas.
They're definitely not. I've never worn pyjamas in my life.
They're purpose-built pyjamas. They're man-made pyjamas.
Someone shaped them with their hands and a bulldozer. I much prefer the natural ones.
You can sort of see how that would be good if you were there with like a group of you in multiple lodges and having a few beers and a barbecue or whatever. It wasn't quite the same for us, was it? Because we were just sort of in our pyjamas hitting a few gyms.
Well, I think me and Sparks had a few beers, didn't we? We got a few beers from Asda.
Yeah, we had a couple of beers, a couple of iron brews as well.
Oh, yeah.
Keep it local.
Diet Iron Brew. We found that, didn't we, this weekend? That contradiction in terms.
No, that's what I bought in Ayrshire. That
was where you discovered it.
Yeah, I think it's like Iron Brew Max or something. I don't know. It's got some sort of name. Yeah, it's good. You have to,
health drink. It's basically a health drink.
I've never seen it poured into a glass like yesterday, though. That was slightly different experience, the colour of it.
Would you mind decanting my Diet Iron Brew, please? And could I have a slice of lemon? It's not quite orange enough.
But then we all had to go to bed ready for the birthplace of the Open.
Oh, let's not get started on that. Well, there was a lot of whittling about what the light was going to be like, if you remember. You were looking at the weather forecast a lot, so I don't know where I'm going to get a drone.
Yeah.
Why do Southern people miss out some words like the and sometimes?
I thought that was a northern thing.
No.
It was a southern thing.
If I say to you sometimes, "Where's Mike?" you say, "Gone toilet."
I mean, yeah, maybe I'm not the best example of the English language, though, to be honest. But...
Anyway, you were worried about the drone, so we set off at stupid o'clock to go and try and do some drone at Troon, even though we were going to be playing golf at Prestwick.
Yeah, we got all.
What we did, in fact, do was go and sit in the car park at Troon and sort of wring our hands and look worried and get increasingly agitated about the fact we were going to be late for David at Prestwick, and then we left for Prestwick.
It was fine. The drone, there was no sun, but it was worth a go.
I think we went in convoy, didn't we? So then I was left sort of holding the David, and waiting for you to arrive in some sort of cavalry to kind of rescue me from small talk. But then it turns out it was absolutely fine because David is, in fact, one of the nicest men I've ever met in my entire life. He was a real highlight, wasn't he, of this trip?
Playing with him was amazing. Again, my first time at Prestwick, but you get to play with a pro that's been there. What do you say, 20 plus years? Yeah, really enjoyed it. Like that made it even better experience, to be honest.
Well, his line is that he's been there 27 years, but he's not even scratched the surface in terms of like the longest serving pro who's been there kind of 50 or something. What did he say? They only had 6 in their history. Like it's sort of quite a stupid lineage, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 7. One of them being old Tom, right? And yeah, one of them had been there for like 48 years or something ridiculous. So even though he's been there a long time, he's nowhere near. So one of the things I wanted to sort of talk about Prestwick is that it is, after all, birthplace of the Open, and it has got a kind of place on the world stage. That is definitely a thing that I think is kind of sets it apart from some of the others. I found out when I was there, I didn't know this before, that they're not only birthplace of the Open, they're also birthplace of baskets on tees. The members of Merion came over to
the UK, presumably around the turn of the century, on a kind of scouting mission to see how you should do golf and how you should set golf up. And at the time, Prestwick's flags were not flags; they were baskets with kind of tar to hold the wicket together. And the people of Merion then went back and they created the same baskets on tees at Merion. And Merion has become famous for it. And when the US Open's there, they use those flags. And famously, Westwood hit one when he was sort of in contention at the last Merion Open that Justin Rose won. And I think that is quite a neat way of kind of trying to think about Prestwick, because it is a kind of small club right next to Prestwick Airport. But it has a kind of global status. And I think there are these clubs that have got these worldwide networks in golf, and Prestwick is one of them. And they will have like multiple international members. They will play matches against any of the big clubs in America. They'll play matches against places like Seminole and big private American clubs because they are birthplace of the Open, and they've got such a status in the global game, which kind of supersedes some other courses which we might, I guess, hold in higher regard perhaps, or have a different sort of status amongst the British public. But that is kind of very much for a lot of people, the epicenter of golf, and therefore attracts a kind of very international kind of trophy bagging. It's a museum piece, isn't it? The whole place is a museum piece.
Yeah. I always think of Prestwick as like, if you were an international visitor from, say, the States coming over to play links golf for the first time, Prestwick would be the place that would like completely blow your mind. There's just not golf like that anywhere on earth, is there? You can go to the old course and it's not like that. You could do Western Gailes or Turnberry or Dornoch, wherever else people go. Prestwick is like extremely unique as an actual golf course.
It's mental. Love it. Like it's just unreal, isn't it? Like right from the get-go as well. Like the first tee, and the fact there's a sign that says this is how you play the first hole, because it's so confusing. And you talk about first tee nerves. I think standing on there, having to hit an iron shot next to that railway track, it's at the birthplace of the Open. Yeah. It's a real sort of knee trembler, isn't it?
It's in my eclectic 18 as my first hole, and probably lots of other people's as well. It's also extremely close to the clubhouse. You're teeing off, like, you could basically touch the clubhouse. And yeah, there is that sign that tells you how to play it, because it's definitely not driver. So that confused me a little bit, because I like to hit driver a lot. So you have to play it a certain way. And that's where playing with David was amazing as well, wasn't it? Because he kind of just told you what to do on every tee. He was brilliant that way. But what a great opener.
Is there like I couldn't think of any, I mean, you two have played more golf courses. Is there a first hole anywhere where, I mean, I think I hit a 5-iron, but you could hit like a 7-iron and still only have like a 7-iron in or something? Is there many first holes you've ever played on these sorts of courses where you could literally hit an 8-iron if you wanted, and you'll still have sort of 170 to the green?
No, I'm not sure that there are. No one would build a hole like that nowadays, because they'd be like, well, that's silly. But it's kind of fine, isn't it? Because it's always been like that. And I do think that...
Sorry, I was going to say you could say that about a lot of holes at Prestwick, which is like the whole point of it, isn't it? Why would you make a blind par 3 called Himalayas? Like you just wouldn't do it anymore. So they don't exist unless they're at Prestwick.
Yeah. So I think they've still obviously got 12 of the original green sites there, and then one thing that struck me going there was the newer holes, the ones that are kind of immediately after the blind par 3 Himalayas. So I think that would make it 7, 8, 9, 10, possibly over that hill, and they're on a different bit of land. They were laid out later on, and it's like there are perfectly fine golf holes out there. They're not bad by any stretch of the imagination, but they aren't as good as the ones the other side. They're not as characterful, and it's like golf has been making this mistake ever since, hasn't it? That it's been desperate to kind of fit into the 18-hole cookie cutter, if you like, of what a golf course should be. And it kind of feeds into all sorts of decision-making process. I think we must have 18 holes, or our loops must be divisible by 9 at the very least. And we must be a certain length. Must add bits here and there because that's what everybody else does. And this sort of keeping up with the Joneses type of thing. And at the moment, we're going through this sort of very en vogue trend in golf to chop trees down and try and restore golf courses to how they used to be before the trees have grown over the last century. I wonder whether the next big trend in golf will be to say, actually, we're not going to have 18 holes here. We're going to have 12 because we've got 12 good ones. And I reckon I could make a list of 100 golf courses that would be improved if you made them fewer holes.
Yeah, we had that conversation this week, didn't we, as well? I think the same sort of thing. It was like, just take those 3-4 out. You don't need them. And yeah, I think golf course could be any length as long as you're having fun. 11 holes, 12 holes, 13 holes, well.
But surely this is what we're learning about our sport, isn't it? As we sort of evolve, maybe it's as we personally evolve as humans, but I think the game is realizing that it's a really stupid game. Like, it's really silly, isn't it? Like, it's kind of out of shape people who've resorted to playing this sport because they can't do anything else, batting a ball around a field, which at the end of the day, its primary interest is social and health. Like, that's why people do it. It's to get some fresh air, take their golf, take their exercise, and do that in the company of their friends. So it's like literally the most kind of like podcast friendly sport. Like, what should you do? You should make sure you get some exercise, make sure you spend some time with friends. And that's what golf is. And over the last century, people have tried to turn it into something else. They've tried to turn it into sort of an athletic endeavour where result and performance matters, but it really doesn't. So, like, why you would have this obsession with trying to make golf courses 18 holes and 7,000 yards long when they'd be perfectly good and much, much better if some were 6 holes, some were 12 holes, some were 15 holes. And then we could talk about that, couldn't we? And say, oh, yeah, that one's really good because it's only got 11. 11's my perfect number.
Maybe Prestwick will lead the way on that again then. Maybe it'll be the birthplace of 12 holes again.
Yeah. But like once someone has broken the seal of that, this will happen. There are loads of factors, I think, that will sort of push it along. Is that golf clubs need money, so they could sell land to build houses on. There's loads of kind of environmental impacts of building golf courses. So returning some bits of golf courses to nature would be a popular decision as well. I can see it happening anyway.
Besides that, I would like to say on the last one, I said obviously Western Gailes up to that point was one of my favourite experiences. Prestwick, out of all the trips we've done, I think would need just about be my top pick. The only way I can describe it is unbelievably fun, and I think that should be the two words that should describe golf in general. Like, if you're gonna go play golf, they're the two things. That's what you want to do, isn't it? Have fun. And Prestwick is literally the example of having fun on a golf course. Blind tee shots, short holes, slightly longer holes, but not really that long. Fun greens, history, old markers, massive bunkers, weird bunkers. Just had everything you want in a golf course.
But this is So we had it right, didn't we, at the beginning? And then we just spent the last 150 years trying to make it worse.
Yeah, fair point.
And that you could talk all day, couldn't you, about the holes there? It starts amazingly well, and it arguably finishes better. Like the holes that go away from the clubhouse towards the end, 16, 17, they're really, really good. I love the fact you can have a shot at the last green. It's the kind of 2-tier North Berwick style green in the middle of the back nine. 13, is it? 14, can't remember. But there's sleeper bunkers on the third. They're just everything. It's just the whole thing. We're not going to say anything about the golf course at Prestwick. That hasn't already been said, are we?
Oh, I don't think so. It's just a place you have to go to, basically.
So we can now move on to my favourite person that I've met on these trips, who is the chef at Prestwick. Thought that was brilliant. Honestly, thought that was a real kind of, again, sort of, I've never met him before, but an unbelievably good story. So he's been there for, did he say 40 years?
40 years he's been the chef at Prestwick, yeah.
If you were sort of going to distill this down into a club golf podcast, no one gets sacked more often than the chef at a golf club, right? And there are always constant arguments about whether this should be in-house or outsourced or how we should do the catering. And he's been there creating like unbelievably kind of cared for food for an awful long time. And I had Cullen skink, I don't know what you had, but it was just unbelievably nice. And then he gave us a recipe book of the stuff that he's been preparing for the members of Prestwick for all that time. So I thought that was just sort of, I don't know, it was sort of a heartwarming thing.
That club, obviously that's where we met him, wasn't it, in the clubhouse? That clubhouse again was amazing. I personally don't have a bad thing to say about Prestwick. Everyone has to go there. I want to go there again as soon as I can, because I just want to experience it all again. And it's just, that's top of my list, I think, so far from what we've done. I know don't rate everywhere, but you asked me where was my favourite place, and this was just the funnest experience I've ever had.
There you go. Well, I think the dining room thing there, I keep trying to say this, and it's like, why is he getting so excited about a dining room? And I've kind of, the only thing I can compare it to is I once stayed at Skibo Castle, and you go and have your tea in the old dining room of the castle. Maybe that will make it go into people's brains. So having a meal in an actual castle dining room with it on the old table where it's got the old walls and it's all wood panelled, and it's like literally where kings and knights in suits of armour used to stand. It's quite a special thing. And the dining room at Prestwick is basically the same, isn't it? It's been there 150 years and it hasn't changed. So you're having, like, it's a proper lord and ladies experience, isn't it?
Yeah, you can just imagine anyone in golf history has been in that dining room, really, haven't you?
Yeah.
So to get to do that all together with David, who had lunch with us as well, was very special.
And then we set about trying to take some woke, shadowy, darkened locker rooms photos. James was getting cross with me about the rule of thirds. So then he goes, nah, not like that. Get out in the middle.
Improving every day.
Is that enough on Prestwick?
Yeah, I mean, I've said I've said the best thing I can. I think I'll just put it in every single trip to Ayrshire. It has to be in there, probably first on the list every time you go there.
And it also, if you were speaking to an American who was saying, I am coming to Britain to play golf, where should I go? And you'd have to say, well, you'd have to start here.
Would you, here's a question. Would you put it first on the list, or would you put it somewhere in the middle, somewhere at the end? Would you want that to be someone's lasting memory of Ayrshire?
Yeah, probably, yeah.
It's a great way to finish, isn't it? To leave Scotland.
I think I'd say have your last round of golf there, then have your sort of your formal last evening meal, and then go and get on a plane at the airport, which is handily just across the road.
Yeah.
Good way to end the trip.
We didn't do that, though. We went to Troon because we like to finish these trips off on a sort of nice light note.
Nice, easy course.
So feeling fresh as a daisy, we went round the corner to Troon. Is it round the corner? 20 minutes, is it?
It was about that, wasn't it?
20 minutes. 15, 20.
Yeah. And there are two courses at Troon, the Portland and then obviously the Championship course or the Old Course. We played the Old Course, which is the one that hosts the Open. And it doesn't get old, does it, going to play golf at Open venues, and particularly ones that have had Opens in recent past. I think that is the big thing for me, is that we were there in 2024, so 10 months prior to this visit, where all the stands were up. We've been there for all of the sort of formal dinners and kind of not been allowed in the car park because that's where the players were parking and that's where the members were allowed, and we weren't allowed in there. You're there with your media badge that got you behind the clubhouse and kind of walked out to the hospitality tents to attend some functions and stuff. I hadn't been there as a spectator. And it is such a special thing. I know it's been said before, but it's a very unique thing about our sport that you can go and do that and have that experience. You can't go and play at Wembley. You can't go and play at the Emirates. You can probably play at Man City if you pay them enough. But you can't have that experience in basically any other sport. And I think that is a very, very cool thing that I hope sort of golf is able to maintain. And it's a very unique thing to kind of open venues, if you like, or certainly in this country, because the private clubs in America that host US Opens, nowadays some PGAs, most of them are very private. It's not unique to this country, but it is sort of getting that way. Understand it costs a lot of money, but for bucket list experience stuff, it's right up there, isn't it?
Yeah, and not to like bat the ball back to you, but where I say Western Gailes and Nairn are my specialist subjects, I can recount so many times you perfectly describing your love of the first few holes at Troon as being like the epitome of everything that you kind of love about links golf. So I feel like
apart from I think they put way too many bunkers in now. That was the thing that struck me. But I think, the point you're making is that when you think of kind of different styles of links golf, to me, the start at Troon, similar to the start at places like Panmure, they're kind of like almost totally flat, like right on the kind of estuary. Like we were at Dunbar this week, and once you get out of the other side of the wall, it's very similar there. You kind of like, you're within touching distance of the water. It's in view the whole time. There's sort of very little elevation change. The whole thing is about plotting your way between bunkers, which are often those kind of eyelid sort of revetted bunkers. And the start at Troon is exactly that. And I think it probably gets criticised, actually, the start at Troon, because it's often kind of slightly downwind and it's quite a soft opening in the Open. But for members golf and for anyone going there, it's as pure as it gets, right? And the day we got it on was, I think it was the correct wind, so we had a little bit of wind at our back, but like nothing major. And we'd been at 3 proper Premier Trophy venues, but the conditioning at Troon was definitely up a notch. There was just something about it that everything was just slightly better presented. And that isn't always my experience of going to open venues, because everywhere has to conduct course maintenance and all courses go through high points and low points in their seasons when they are in better or worse condition. But we happened to get Troon when it was mint, and I think that's worth saying. And I think that I haven't been to Troon loads of times, and I've generally speaking been there out of season. So to go there in early summer, late spring was a real treat, and get it in that sort of condition and play the course properly. And I think it was all the better for that, having that recent Open in your mind, and sort of the recency of some of those memories and some of the shots that players hit added to that experience, and sort of been able to chat through those on the way around. And I think that one of the things, other than the start, which I've always enjoyed, is that loop at the far end of Troon. And that's never really kind of been a lasting memory for me, is that once you get to postage stamps 8, isn't it? Once you get to 7, then those holes 7, 8, 9, 10, there is a lot of elevation change there, actually. And the golf course does go through quite a significant change in character, I would say, around that turn. And because they're at the turn of the golf course, and because they're all strung next to each other, I think that is quite a cool thing, that you're kind of going out to a kind of, I don't know what the Scottish word is for amen, but it's like an amen corner, isn't it, basically? Yeah. That if you can get through the stretch from 7 to 11, then we finish your shift for a start and you can go, never mind. But that loop, I think, is really, really cool. Yeah, it didn't disappoint, did it?
No. You mentioned about the conditioning, but to me, it also just felt like a real championship test. Like, obviously, Prestwick is a bit quirky. Western is a lot of fun as well. And Dundonald is quite new and a different style. But Troon just felt like every shot you had to have like full concentration. It was a test. It was like a real mental test as well. And not to say that it wasn't fun to play. It's extremely fun to play. But it just felt like more challenging than the others to me.
I think that was definitely a thing. Like, I think I can have said this in the video, but I definitely thought it. It's really clear that RNA agronomists and RNA kind of championship people have been there and helped them with the conditioning, but also said, we need to put a bunker in here, or we need to make this one a bit bigger, or we need to make this one gather more, or whatever it is. You could just sort of tell that it had been nibbled that little bit harder, couldn't you?
Is it a members club as well, Troon? I'm guessing.
Massively, yeah.
We went in the clubhouse briefly, didn't we? But we didn't sort of spend too much time there.
No, and it's the clubhouse, again, it's sort of worth dwelling on, isn't it? The thing I always say about it is that if there was a kind of nuclear attack tomorrow, I'd go and hide in the clubhouse at Troon. I just think it just looks like the most unbelievably solid building that's got massively thick walls that's not going anywhere anytime soon. And the inside's kind of almost better than the outside. They do the open history really well. They've got an entire sort of wall of glass cabinet with open memorabilia in it. They've obviously got a copy of the claret jug. They've got a homage to the female golfer who famously won Wimbledon and the Open Championship, and I now can't remember her name, which is absolutely terrible. Come on, Mike, help me out. Someone Google it. Anyway, they've got a homage to her. It's not Helen Holm. That's the
Helen Holm. Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
So they do all that kind of thing really well. They've got a library room, which just sort of feels like the sort of place where you'd spend your entire day. It's like that should be on a list with actually the lounge at Royal St George's in the Dormy. It's like just that sort of place, like old leather Shackleton chairs. But the best room is the dining room at the very end of the building, which looks right down the 18th. When they have the Open Championship there, the stands flank the sides of that hole, but they leave it so the members can stand and look out of the window, like the best sort of hospitality in golf, basically. So I think that room is very cool because it's like right on the edge of the 18th green as well. So I think that it totally delivered for me on the visiting an open venue experience, from all of that stuff reminding you of it inside. But more than that, just the sort of evocative nature of making your way around and remembering that Dan Brown hit it onto that tee, and remembering Stenson making all those birdies in 2016. Yeah, I think it was quality.
So we're an hour and 20 minutes into this podcast. We've described lots of different holes. Should we get to the most famous hole in Ayrshire, the postage stamp?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Sparks here because I think he said this in the film, but he fucked us.
You think I gave you the wrong club choice? I'm pretty sure
it was the wrong yardage and the wrong club choice. And Tom,
pretty sure I hit the club I suggested and parred the hole though.
Well, Tom, you were up first, weren't you? You led the way.
So I think these things are weird, aren't they, when you go and do them? Like, so the postage stamp is like, it kind of transcends the playing at the golf course. It's like going to see the Taj Mahal or climbing up Ayers Rock or something. It's like, I don't know how you're not disappointed by these things, like, because the whole thing builds up to that one thing, and then you get and you're like, all right, it's just a big red rock in the desert. And the postage stamp at the end of the day is just 120-yard par 3, isn't it?
But you also want to do it really well. So if you climb a mountain, you want to do it really well, don't you? You don't want to fall down a few times and then climb it. So you get to the postage stamp, you're extremely excited.
But you take my point. Really it's like I don't necessarily agree. I think the sort of feeling of wanting to do well applies to the round as a whole. I think that the postage stamp is like a tourist attraction, isn't it? It's like it is a big thing in its own right. And yeah, you do want to do it well, but I always feel really weird when I'm sort of doing things like that. It sort of feels like you've gone through the glass wall. It's like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
This is something you watch, not something you do.
But you're like desperate to say, "Oh, I got 2," or
yeah, a bit, yeah.
I got a hole in one on the post.
17 at Sawgrass. I've not been there, but 17 at Sawgrass, I can imagine you want to get a 3.
Yeah, but that really does feel like something you watch rather than you do. You get on that tee and it does not feel normal because you're like, well, this is what am I doing here? Why am I on telly?
You saw one postage stamp, you remember watching it at the Open and you see scores ranging from 2s to, would you say there was like 10s, 11s and 12s sometimes? And then you're standing there thinking, now I've got to do it. And I mean, you pulled Mike hit a pretty hit one in bunker, left it in the bunker, got it out and then hold it for a 4. That's actually that's a good memory, that one, getting a 4 like that.
Yeah, I guess I just made a bogey in the most bog standard way. And it's like, well, thanks for that. I've just bogeyed 120.
We all made decent scores. It was bogey at worst.
Bogey somewhere
so we can all come away happy.
And then we set back on our merry way home, didn't we? So the kind of concept is 48 hours, and I think we tipped off Troon at about 6 o'clock at night. Would we gotten away from there?
Yeah,
I managed to drive home again in one go. Very tiring, these one-go trips back, but it really does add to the 48 hours. And then I'm feeling it the next few days after.
It was a good one, though, that, as in the trip was good. The logistics were good. Having one base at Dundonald, all of that golf's really near each other, isn't it? And it is worth saying, and we do say this in the video, that you could perm sort of 4 from several courses on that coast. You could go to Glasgow Gailes, you could go to Irwin Bogside, you could go to Prestwick St Nicholas. You could go to Turnberry, obviously. You could play the other course at Turnberry. You could play the other course at Troon. Wherever I missed, Mike, you could go to some other places, probably.
Kilmarnock, Brassie. That's the only other one I've played in that area.
You just wouldn't be disappointed going to any of those that you've just listed. That is like a good summary of Ayrshire, that any of those courses that you went to play, you're getting really good standard of links golf. And obviously it ranges from Turnberry and the conditioning of there to maybe Irvine Bogside, but all of it is like really, really good, enjoyable, solid links golf.
And I do know, because I know we've had some people mention it, but we played obviously the championship courses. We played sort of in the top 100s, the one that everyone wishes they could play. But there is a massive collection of other golf courses, isn't there, that the conditioning and stuff would also be amazing. And having a base like Dundonald, you can hit all these courses as well.
Yeah. Should we stop there? Should we call that a draw?
Yeah.
I said at the end of the last one that I massively enjoy doing these because I think it is hugely, hugely healthy to reflect on stuff that you've done and you kind of get to enjoy it all over again. I really hope people are enjoying listening to us talk about our trips. We've got a couple more that we want to discuss. The next one we'll do is Fife, where we were at the home of golf and played some golf courses in and around St Andrews. And then I think we'll probably do Northumberland. Might have to do Kent at some point, given that we all know Kent so well. So these are going to keep coming. We've got lots more trips planned for this year and beyond. Hope you're enjoying the videos. Hope you're enjoying these podcasts. Please do give us a subscribe. Speak to you soon.
All right.
Nice.